It's go time for Jim Jordan. He sent out 5 letters. He's the leader of the GOP House Judiciary Committee. And look who he is writing to. Our friend Timothy Thibault, ex-FBI, the assistant special agent in charge out of the Washington field office. He also sent a letter over to singing Nina Jankowicz, the former candidate for the Disinformation Governance Board, and as well as some other people from the National School Board Association and the FBI. But first, let's start off with the announcement because it was a good one from the House Judiciary GOP. If we go over to Twitter, we'll see that they posted the following on January 27, 2023. Breaking: Jim Jordan just sent letters to Timothy Thibault, Nina Jankowicz, Jennifer Moore, Chip Slavin, and Viola, reiterating transcribed interview requests related to various investigations and oversight efforts. Look what he says here. Compulsory process next. That means subpoenas are coming in hot. He put letters to all 5 of them there. They are short. We will take a quick look at them, starting one by one. But let's take a look at Mr. Thibault first. Now, you know him. He's very involved in a lot of the stories that we've covered. He's no longer at the FBI. As soon as the Republicans won the House of Representatives, he started his way out. He's like, I better get out of here before this oversight starts. But before he left, Senator Kennedy was asking Christopher Wray about this. Actually, after he left, Christopher Wray was being asked about this by Senator Kennedy. Who is Tim Thibault?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Mr. Director, who is Timothy Thibault?
Mr. Thibault was, for some period of time until relatively recently, what's called an ASAC in our Washington field office.
He was the Assistant Special Agent in charge?
That's what ASAC stands for. There's a whole number of them in the Washington field office. The structure is there's at the head of the office, and then there's SACs, and then the next level down, there's the level that he was at.
And he has or had been with the FBI about 25 years. Is that right?
Well, now you're testing my knowledge a little bit.
Okay. He was a powerful guy. Is that correct?
I'm sorry?
He was a powerful guy. Is that correct?
Well, I don't know that I would use that description.
Okay. He had no power?
I think every law enforcement agent in the FBI with the responsibilities they're entrusted with has significant power.
Okay. Did he work on the President Trump Russian collusion investigation?
I'm not sure I know the answer to that. Not that I'm aware of, but I can't say that with certainty.
Complicated question.
Did he or does he work on the FBI investigation of Mr. Hunter Biden?
So the investigation that you're referring to, and I have to be a little bit careful because we're talking about an ongoing investigation, is being run out of our Baltimore field office, working with the Delaware U.S. Attorney, who's a holdover from the prior administration.
So I'm confused, Chris, with your answer. Did he work or does he work on the Hunter Biden investigation?
Come on, Chris, come on.
As I said, the Hunter Biden investigation is being run out of the Baltimore field office.
Okay. So that means no, because he's out of the Washington office, right? So can you just say no?
Isn't it true that in September of 2020, Special Agent Thibault went on social media and liked a Washington Post article entitled, quote, "William Barr has gone rogue"?
I have seen descriptions to that effect. I have to be a little bit careful about how far we can go in this conversation.
Why?
Because of
it's one of your
specific
ex-agents.
ongoing personnel matters.
Yeah, but he left already. He doesn't work for you anymore. This is a senator who has questions oversight about your intelligence agency.
Isn't it true that also in September of 2020, Special Agent Thibault went on social media and posted a Washington Post article entitled, quote, "Why the Michael Flynn case still matters"?
A similar answer to the one.
Ongoing personnel. Okay, you get the gist of it. Now, that is the guy we're talking about, right? He's very, very sneaky FBI agent, all wrapped up in nefariousness indeed. But he's getting a letter, courtesy of our friend Jim Jordan. It's coming in hot, and here's what it says. Let's take a quick look at it. Written on January 27, 2023, coming out from Jim Jordan from Ohio, Chairman, Committee on the Judiciary, Congress of the United States, House of Representatives. It says, Dear Mr. Thibault, courtesy of your lawyers, and it says, all right, listen, Tim, we have made multiple requests that you appear for a transcribed interview before the committee concerning serious allegations of abuse and misconduct within the senior leadership of the DOJ and the FBI. Your testimony is necessary to further our oversight. And as we begin the 118th Congress, we write again to reiterate our outstanding request and ask that you immediately cooperate. Jim says, you have been on notice, Timmy, about our request for your testimony and aware that this request is outstanding for months. For your convenience, we have attached the letters dated September 23rd, October 14th, November 25th of last year. To date, you have not complied with our request that you appear for a transcribed interview before this committee. This obstruction must stop. Accordingly, we reiterate our request that you appear promptly for a transcribed interview. We also reiterate that this committee is prepared to resort to compulsory process, subpoena, baby, if necessary to obtain your testimony. Please direct your attorney to promptly contact us on your behalf. And by the way, our Judiciary Committee has oversight jurisdiction over DOJ and FBI pursuant to the rules. Very sincerely, your friend, Jim Jordan. Perfect. Now, what's so beautiful about this is that he also copied his prior letters. So this was the one from last year in September, which I'm sure we read through back in probably September of last year. And he sent the other ones too from October and the one before that in November or after that rather. And you can see all of these letters went over to Tim Thibault. Now, up until this point, Timmy didn't have much to fear because the Republicans weren't in control of anything. And so last we learned that he was not going to be cooperating. In fact, this article came out over from this website called the New York Post. It says former FBI agent Tim Thibault refuses to cooperate with the House GOP. Now, this was back in October 15, 2022. Something has changed in that time. The Republicans are now in control. Previously, his lawyer said that concerning the request for the interview, right, because Jim sent these letters last year, they said previously, concerning the request for an interview, because the subject matter pertains to sensitive law enforcement investigations and information, our client is not in a position to accept this invitation at this juncture, okay, to accept this invitation. Well, it may have been an invitation last year, but evidently it's not going to be an invitation this time. They said our client is now retired from the FBI, very conveniently. As such, he is no longer in possession of an FBI laptop or mobile device, doesn't have any access to any other materials. And so, man, he doesn't have anything useful to say. He's facing scrutiny from Republicans because he suppressed, allegedly, the Hunter Biden investigation. They said last year, well, we'll just have to subpoena him this time. And that is exactly what they are doing. So they are going after Thibault. They're going after another person named Jennifer Leigh Moore. And we'll just take a quick look at her letter just so you can see what they're asking her for. Very short. She is another FBI agent. So Jennifer Leigh Moore also got a letter, and a little bit about her. She is the Assistant Director, Security Division out of DCHQ. special agent in charge of intelligence. Started back there in 1995, so she's an FBI lifer. Oh, gosh. Lifer there. Now let's learn more about the letter to her. They write to her, they say, all right, Jennifer, we've made multiple requests for you to show up here to talk about your misconduct. You've been on notice for a long time. We're going to subpoena you if you don't comply. Sincerely, your friend, Jim Jordan. And this is about the purge. Wow, okay. So whistleblower disclosures and a purge of employees. That's what she's getting asked about. That will be a fun one as well. So letters are going out from Jim Jordan to the FBI, but the FBI is not alone. Jim Jordan also wants to hear from Nina Singin' Janky Jankowicz, which unfortunately we are going to have to listen to her song here in a minute. And it's a singing song about disinformation. And so I want to make sure that everybody is properly fortified before we listen to this program. So make sure you get your survival food to survive this, because a food shortage could be coming. Even here in the United States, we have drought, inflation. We've got new policies pushing America's food supply near its breaking point. That's why survival food is more important now than ever. And you can create your own stockpile of the best-selling 4 Patriots survival food kits ever. This is not ordinary survival food. It's good for 25 years. Super survival food, hand-packed right in family-owned facilities in the United States, giving jobs to over 200 Americans. Compact, sturdy, water-resistant kits stack easily. Different delicious breakfast, lunches, and dinners, and you can make these meals in less than 20 minutes, just adding boiling water, simmer, and serve. And right now, you can go to 4patriots.com. Use code Robert to save 10% off your first purchase on anything in the store, including a 3-month survival kit. Looks just like this. You'll get their famous guarantee for an entire year after your order, plus free shipping on anything over $97. They're called 4 Patriots because a portion of every sale is donated to charities who support our veterans and their families. And you can go to 4patriots.com, use code Robert, and start creating your own survival food stockpile today. Code Robert, 10% off at 4patriots.com. All right, my friends. Now, it is time to brace yourself for impact. Now that you've got your survival food ordered, now that you've got your field of greens situated and your gold stacked up, it's time. This, my friends, is Singin' Janky.
Information laundering is really quite ferocious. It's when a huckster takes some lies and makes them sound precocious by saying them in Congress or a mainstream outlet. So disinformation's origins are slightly less atrocious. It's how you hide a little lie. It's how you hide a little lie. It's how you hide a little lie. When Rudy Giuliani shared bad intel from Ukraine, or when TikTok influencers say COVID can cause pain. They're laundering disinfo and we really should take note and not support their lies with our wallet, voice, or vote. Oh!
So this is the point of the show. We're going to say we're kidding. We're making all of this up.
Tucker Carlson. All right, America. There it is. That's Singin' Janky. Singin' Janky Jankowicz. Sorry, everybody. Oh, man. Well, she got a letter. The good news is she got a letter about this. Jim Jordan sent her one. He's not happy with her either. Here is what that letter says. From the House of Representatives Committee on the Judiciary, Jim Jordan sends a letter over to Nina Singin' Janky Jankowicz, telling her to please stop singing for the love of God. He says, okay, dear Mrs. Janky, we have made several requests for you to delete all of your music. Just kidding. We have made several requests for your documents and for information related to the so-called Disinformation Governance Board within the Department of Homeland Security and your role as the board's executive director. These requests to include your appearance for the transcribed interview before the committee remain outstanding, Nina. These documents and your testimony are necessary to further our oversight. And as we begin this new Congress, we write again, immediately asking you to comply in full. You've been on notice for a long time. We sent you a bunch of letters last year in May and December. And although your attorney has belatedly contacted the committee and our requests are still outstanding, Accordingly, we reiterate our requests, promptly asking you to comply. Otherwise, compulsory process, if necessary, will be coming. We are authorized to investigate all of this. Thank you for your prompt attention to this matter. Sincerely, your friend, Jim Jordan. Going over to Nina Jankowicz. And so we'll see what her lawyers say about all of that in their response. But our last two letters went out to the national school boards. And remember, the national school boards were very upset that Americans were upset about how their kids were being treated in schools. Weird how parents might be concerned about that, but they were. And we're going to listen to two people who got letters from Jim Jordan. One of them is this fella named Chip Slavin. You see him right here. And apparently he's an education leader. He's an equity champion, as well as a licensed attorney. Wow. All right, so let's go in and see what Viola M. Garcia is all about. She is the National School Boards Association president, and she was on with CNN talking about those outrageous parents who were caring about their kids a little too much.
We need support. We need reinforcement of the sort that the community can give us. But more importantly, these are real threats, Brianna, that you just saw, that we all just saw. And they're occurring with greater frequency. So our letter to the White House really is indicative of the seriousness of the situation for school board members, but more especially for students in our public schools.
Terrorist parents who cared about their kids and their education. Well, they got a letter, and so did Chip Slavin. Chip Slavin is another person who is an education leader and an equity champion. So let's take a look at these two very interesting letters. First one goes out to Dr. Viola Garcia, the National Assessment Governance Board. Jim Jordan says, all right, dear doctor, we have requested you appear for a number of different meetings. There are concerning and troubling attempts by the DOJ and the White House to use the heavy hand of federal law enforcement to target concerned parents at local school board meetings and chill their First Amendment rights. These requests include your appearance for a transcribed interview, and we're reiterating our request. You've known about these for over 14 months. We sent a prior letter last year in November. You have not complied. This obstruction must stop. If you do not schedule your interview, there will be further problems. We have the jurisdiction to investigate all of this. Sincerely, your friend, Jim Jordan. Now, here is a little bit more about this. On September 29th, on behalf of the NSBA, you and Chip Slavin sent a letter to Joe Biden asking for help. You stated that parents were acting with malice, violence, and threats against school officials. You cited the Patriot Act as a statute that the Biden administration could use to stop domestic terrorism and hate crimes from parents. The NSBA board members explained that they'd been engaged with the White House for several weeks now and said that there was a disturbing increase of violence. They regret and apologize the letter after the fact. And so they want more information about that letter. What a scandal that was. And so our last letter went over to Chip Slavin, Equity Senior Super Advisor. Says, from Mr. Chip Slavin, former interim director, National School Boards. Same thing to him. They said, all right, Chip, we've asked for you to come in and talk about that letter for over 14 months. You also have not shown up. There will be problems. We are prepared to resort to compulsory process if necessary there, buddy boy. So get back to us soon. Sincerely, your friend, Jim Jordan. And this is, of course, the final letter that went out from Jim Jordan. And there is just a lot more to come. I'm certain of it. From the Oversight Committee, from the Judiciary Committee, there will be a lot more to come. And because I know you guys want it so badly, and Zulu is confirming this for me, he says confidently, I can speak for the entire YouTube and the locals chat when I say that we need to hear the song again. And I agree with you. I noticed that too, Zulu. It was a very common theme all across the tubes. we might as well do it, my friends.
Information laundering is really quite ferocious. It's when a huckster takes some lies and makes them sound precocious by saying them in Congress or a mainstream outlet. So disinformation's origins are slightly less atrocious. It's how you hide a little lie. It's how you hide a little lie. It's how you hide a little lie. When Rudy Giuliani shared bad intel from Ukraine, or when TikTok influencers say COVID can cause pain. They're laundering disinfo, and we really should take note and not support their lies with our wallet, voice, or vote.
Oh gosh. Oh gosh. Oh gosh. She was almost in charge of the Disinformation Governance Board, all right? That was a real thing from the Department of Homeland Security. They brought her in and started to interview her to govern us all of our speech, man. Oh no. All right, no, we're not going to do another. Yeah, Jake, we already lost a few thousand subscribers on that one. So farewell, everybody. Bon voyage. We had to do it. I'll miss you. Hopefully you come back. All right. But that, my friends, is it for us on the day.